We're now live, Chair.
Good evening. I'm Councillor Jonathan Bianco. I'm the Cabinet Member for Property, Highways and Transport, and therefore I sit in judgment on these petition hearings tonight. However, in advance of that, let me just say these for the benefit of the two of you really. You're the only members of the public currently present. We're not expecting a fire alarm, but if there is one, there are enough of us here to make sure that you are led to safety. I'd ask you, if you've got mobiles, to at least turn them to silent. I would warn you that this is streamed live on our YouTube channel, so if you don't want to be seen, now's the time to think about that. And because it's streamed live on our YouTube channel and people at home may be listening and want to hear it, if you want to speak, then you must move to that position there and use the microphone, because then it transmits into the feed. That having been said, I don't have any declarations to make. There's two items on the agenda tonight, and they're both in the public, so I don't have to worry about that. And therefore, the first item is in respect of Northway Uxbridge, and I'm assuming you are Ms. Patel.
I am.
Would you please go over there? When you're ready, press the button. Both of you are more than welcome. If you both want to speak, that's fine. You have up to 5 minutes. Grab a chair and stick it there. Don't worry about that. That's fine. Press the button when you're ready, when you're ready, and speak as you go.
Okay, hi. Thank you for inviting us today. My name is Reena, and this is my husband, Petition Patel, and we're here in regards to the safety concerns that we have for our road on Northway. Northway is a very short road of just 16 homes, which leads through traffic lights onto other residential areas and also onto a field. So we have a lot of elderly people, few elderly people on our street, a lot of children, a blind couple with small kids. So we are all concerned about the way that the drivers are coming onto our road. We have a lot of deliveries now, Uber, all these sort of things, and when they see that the green traffic lights are green, they try to zoom through to sort of skip the traffic lights. Sometimes it goes well for them, sometimes they're having to reverse back out, and that happens both ways, where the cars are, because it's a one-lane road there because of the bridge going over it. So we do feel that it's become a bit dangerous. There has been incidents in the past, not many, but things are getting a bit worrying where people are driving too fast, not looking. We have a lot of kids that go to it's the shortcuts, or they're on their bikes going to Rhino School or other schools, people going to the gym, dog walkers. So we do have people trying to cross the road or just walk through. Teenagers, they're on their phones, they're not looking. So in the petition, obviously, I mentioned reducing the speed limit to 20, but some of the residents have also mentioned that maybe just a speed bump would be appropriate, just to get the cars to slow down. And also I read in the paperwork that Liz sent me about doing the traffic control measuring, sort of, do you call
traffic
it?
Survey.
Yeah, traffic survey, that's the word, yeah.
Councillor members of the committee. So our road is frequented by children walking to school, to and from school, to and from the gym, sometimes playing. We get a lot of cars and vans speeding through to try and beat the lights, and ultimately children are not getting bigger, but vehicles are, and the law of the conservation of momentum doesn't favour children. So a 30 mile an hour collision as opposed to a 20 mile an hour collision drastically reduces the severity of any collision. So we're asking for a traffic survey and for you to consider traffic calming or slowing measures, whether that be a speed limit, although that's a deterrent, it doesn't actually stop anything, whereas a speed bump might be more appropriate. Okay, so nowadays cars are not like they were 30, 40 years ago. They are big SUVs, and people often can't see over the bonnets. They think they're the word indestructible. However, we've not had a pedestrian collision yet. We don't want there to be one, for the sake of all pedestrians and all road users. So I guess in the first instance, we're asking for a traffic survey to measure the velocity, the frequency and the type of traffic, and the speed of the traffic, and at what times of the day. And then should the data be interpreted as such, the authority or the approval to put a speed bump, at least one speed bump, at the point in the road where it's deemed the traffic is most quickest. Anecdotally, we hear screeches, we hear engines revving, but we've got no calibrated speed gun or measuring equipment to tell you that the cars are going above 30, but it certainly doesn't feel safe. Anything to add? Anything that I've missed?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, so we're coming from a place of safety to pedestrians, really. I think we're done, aren't we?
Like I said, also
we've got
safety.
all our points across.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's a slightly nerve-wracking experience if you haven't done it before. So at this point, I would invite any of your ward councillors to speak, but as none of them are here, I can't do so. I know Northway well. I know all the roads in it. I've knocked on, as is my want, with my background, I've knocked on many doors down there, probably on yours at some point in the distance, and if I haven't knocked on them, I've stuck something through the letterbox. So I do know the spot well. And obviously, it's changed since the development of Morris Way has taken place. I sold the land on behalf of the council to make that happen. So I'm well aware of the spot. Let me say first of all, I don't have any problem with instigating a speed test, and afterwards, Mr. Austin here will we'll have a discussion with you as where you think best to put we run strips across the road, where to put them. So I'm more than happy to help on that. My cautionary comments so far as 20-mile-an-hour speed limits are concerned is, as a general rule, we're not in favour. We have agreed to them. Our current policy is that we will agree to them outside schools for obvious reasons. Although we are now aiming that to be outside schools when the schools are operating, not outside schools on a Sunday afternoon or in the summer holidays and that sort of thing. The main problem with 20-mile-an-hour speed limits is that there is no enforcement. Absolutely none. The council can't enforce, legally cannot enforce, and the police won't. So we could put a sign up, if you like. People could ignore it happily and nobody's going to do anything about it. So is there a deterrence in the sign? Maybe a little sometimes. But the problem is, generally speaking, and I don't want this to appear deliberately cynical, but the problem is mainly that the delivery guys and those that are going to speed are going to speed. And the only people who might slow to 20 miles an hour are the people who would have probably driven there safely anyway. So it's a bit of a moot point as the benefit of it. The humps, bumps, tables, most members of the general public, myself included, call them humps and bumps. Professional traffic officers call them tables or cushions. That's the other word, cushions. Can have some positive. Often, however, we find that everybody's for them until somebody comes along and says, we're going to put it outside your house. And then suddenly the people affected by that decision are less than thrilled, and the immediate neighbours are less than thrilled, because there is undoubtedly an increase in noise and fumes often around the hump. I mean, this is just fact. I'm not trying to be difficult or awkward. I'm just making you aware of the issues. And in some places, and it's probably not a problem in North Way, but certainly we've had it in other places where we've put after much toing and froing in the past, we've put a table in, and then months later we get another petition saying, can we take it out? Because they've suddenly woken up to the fact that when lorries go over it, there's a hell of a lot more noise, and when the worst offenders are skip lorries, because the chains rattle and people just go spare, there can be problems from that. Now, I'm not saying no, I'm just making you aware of the issues that come with it. But I do think the first sensible step is, let's do the speed survey, let's see whether we're actually let's see what the dimension of the problem is. Then we can take further steps. There may be other things that we can look at that aren't humps or speed limits that could act as a speed deterrent. Let's call it that. But I'm not the expert. Mr. Austin is. I mean, whether we could put in a chicane or something. But I mean, that also has the same issue as a speed hump.
Yes, I mean, we'd have to do a more detailed survey of driveways, and if it'd be possible to fit anything in. Of course, what we can't do is obstruct some people's access to off-street parking. But I think fundamentally what we need to start off with is a speed survey, which you helpfully suggested, and it would be useful if we could agree a location that you think the issue is at its worst. I've brought a plan with me, so if you want to come up and mark it on the plan, and then we'll look at we'll get that data, share it with the ward councillors and the cabinet member, and see where we go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, in terms of Right, okay, you read it out.
Thank you, Chair. So we have received from the lead petitioner, unfortunately he's unable to be in attendance this evening due to a prior commitment, but he has sent something in which I'm going to read out now for your consideration. So I am submitting this statement in support of the petition requesting the installation of speed bumps on Minette Drive. Although I am unable to attend the hearing in person, I hope this written submission conveys the urgency of the situation faced by our community. In recent months, residents of Minette Drive have grown increasingly alarmed by the rise in speeding vehicles, especially during evening and nighttime hours. This behaviour has created a dangerous environment, putting children, senior citizens and all residents at risk. We are calling for speed bumps as an essential measure to protect our safety and restore peace to our neighbourhood. A particularly alarming incident occurred recently when a high-speed chase took place directly in front of 28 Minette Drive. A speeding vehicle travelling far above the 30 mph limit lost control and nearly crashed into parked cars and homes. The vehicle came dangerously close to causing severe damage and potentially fatal injuries. This close call was terrifying, and it was only through sheer luck that no one was hurt. If the vehicle had veered even slightly, it could have struck pedestrians or homes at 28 and 30 Minette Drive, where young children live. Families in the neighbourhood, especially at 36 Minette Drive, are understandably fearful. The presence of small children makes the risk of speeding vehicles a constant source of anxiety. Immediate action is necessary to prevent a tragedy. To verify this incident, the Metropolitan Police can be contacted for detailed records of this accident and others on Minette Drive within the past 3 months. Their reports will confirm the frequency and severity of these incidents. Minette Drive is home to many families with young children, particularly at 28, 30 and 36. These children regularly walk to school, play outside and visit nearby parks. However, speeding cars have made parents afraid to let their children play unsupervised or even walk outside. The speed at which vehicles travel leaves little time for drivers to react if a child steps into the street. For families with young children, this threat is incredibly stressful. Speed bumps would significantly reduce the risk by forcing drivers to slow down and become more aware of their surroundings. This would make our neighbourhood safer and give parents peace of mind. The danger of speeding vehicles is worsened by the disruptive noise they cause, especially at night. After 10 p.m, Minette Drive often feels like a racetrack, with cars speeding down the road, engines revving loudly, disturbing residents and making it difficult to sleep. This noise is particularly distressing for families with small children who are frequently woken by the sound of speeding cars. The lack of physical deterrence allows this reckless behaviour to continue unchecked, creating anxiety throughout the community. Installing speed bumps would help reduce not only the speed of vehicles but also the noise pollution caused by revving engines. In addition to speeding, there has been a noticeable rise in stolen car incidents on Minette Drive. Several reports have surfaced of stolen vehicles being driven recklessly through the street before being abandoned. This behaviour poses a direct safety threat and adds to the growing sense of insecurity in the neighbourhood. The number of complaints related to car theft or residents feeling threatened by potential theft has also increased. Residents have frequently reported incidents of theft, and this troubling trend is a significant factor behind our petition. The Metropolitan Police can provide further information on these cases, highlighting the growing crime concerns on Minette Drive. The combination of high-speed chases, speeding vehicles and stolen cars has made Minette Drive a dangerous place to live. Installing speed bumps would act as a deterrent, making it harder for drivers to speed or escape quickly, improving safety and reducing future criminal activity. Several senior citizens living in the middle section of Minette Drive are also facing discomfort due to speeding vehicles. Many of these elderly residents rely on walking or using mobility aids, making them particularly vulnerable. The excessive speed of cars has made it hazardous for them to safely cross the street or walk throughout the neighbourhood. For senior citizens, simply crossing the road to visit a neighbour has become a nerve-wracking experience. Their safety and comfort should be a priority. Speed bumps would provide much-needed reassurance, ensuring that vehicles slow down and give pedestrians, especially the elderly, time to cross safely. In conclusion, I urge the Council to take our petition seriously and prioritise the installation of speed bumps on Minette Drive. The high-speed chase in front of 28 Minette Drive, the constant risk to small children at 28, 30 and 36 Minette Drive, the disruptive noise from speeding vehicles, the rise in stolen car incidents and the discomfort faced by senior citizens all point to the urgent need for action. speed bumps are a simple, effective solution that would restore safety and peace of mind for all residents. We deserve to live in a community where we feel safe walking our streets, where children can play without fear, and where senior citizens can move freely without worry. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to a favourable outcome. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm not sure whether you achieved it in 5 minutes, but I wasn't timing you, so we'll let you off. Councillor Sanspuri, I see you are here. I assume you'd like to say a word or two, but if you do, you must come over here.
No, because everything written before the decision has been sent, so I don't want to read everything again.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I had a few questions that came out of that, and I'm hoping that Mr. Guy is watching us on the YouTube channel, but if not, he can watch it later on a playback, can't he? So,
I think there's
yes, yes, I was going to say, I know we've got other things. Looks like you're back in charge.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have received representations from the ward councillors, Councillor Curling and Councillor Gardner. So firstly from Councillor Curling, I've represented this area for 14 years, both as a Townfield ward councillor and now as a Hayes Town ward councillor. And the problems of speeding traffic on Minette Drive and the surrounding roads is something that has been a problem for a while, although it seems to have increased in the last few years. The roads on this estate are very narrow and were built originally to cater for horse and cart traffic rather than modern day cars. Over the years, various residents have suggested lower speed limits or possibly a one-way system to alleviate the issues caused by speeding motorists and boy racers who have been known to use the estate as a racetrack. Other suggestions from residents have also been discussed at residents' associations meetings in the past. As mentioned in the report, speed humps can create other problems for residents, such as the noise of vehicles bumping over them, headlights flashing in residents' windows as vehicles rise and fall over the humps, and they can also cause issues for the emergency services. Having said that, the more modern traffic tables can address some of these issues. There is no doubt that some form of traffic calming is necessary in Minette Drive, and I therefore support the residents with this petition and would ask the Cabinet Member and the Highways officers to consider drawing up a scheme of traffic calming which would address the desires of the residents, because they have put up with inconsiderate and downright dangerous speeding drivers for far too long. Thank you. That's from Councillor Curling. And Councillor Gardner has also submitted something. I would like to wholeheartedly support the petition. The traffic speeding along this road and other roads on this estate has the potential to cause accidents that will either damage property or people. I am told that several vehicles have been damaged by cars sideswiping them. I visit the area at least once a week in my role as a ward councillor and find the speed of some of the drivers trying to pass parked cars or just drive down the road quite frightening. The end of the road where pedestrians and cyclists can access the 312 is an area that drivers use in the evenings to park up to get up to Mischief. Then when they have finished, they turn around and then speed back towards Cold Harbour Lane. The residents have every right to expect the council to put in measures that will ensure that both themselves and their properties are kept safe. Thank you. And that's from Councillor Gardner. Thank you, Chair.
Good, thank you. There's clearly an issue. The question is, how do we deal with it? I made a few notes during the course of your lengthy treatise. And the first question I had, which I sort of, I'd answered myself really, was is Minette Drive a shortcut? But looking at the map and knowing from my own visits in that direction, it isn't. It doesn't go anywhere, does it? It's ultimately a no-through road. And if you go off in either direction, they all come to a stop. So it's slightly odd in that sense, because often one gets speeding down roads when they're taking a shortcut, and that isn't the case here. The other question that jumped into my mind is, do you know, Mr. Austin, whether we have taken actions in any of the other neighbouring roads? Because my immediate thought is that if we do something in Minette Drive, are we just going to move the problem over to into Hunters Grove or Birch Way or one of these other roads where perhaps the problem isn't as bad at the moment, we don't simply want to. So the question is, do we need to look at something more comprehensive? Have we already done things in other roads? Are you aware?
Thank you, Chair. The only concerns that I've had raised previously is Hunters Grove. This is the first time, really, that Manette and the other roads in the area have sort of raised its ugly head. So perhaps it is something that's happened sort of fairly recently. And it's quite puzzling to understand quite why it's happened. So, I mean, maybe there is justification for a more wider area survey to take Minette Drive and perhaps Birch Way and some of the other roads in the area.
Yeah,
But,
well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering.
To have the input from ward councillors about where they think some surveys would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean that's what I wonder about, because I can see the need. I understand the problem. I can see why you'd want to do something, but part of me is saying, if we just do this bit, are we just creating a problem somewhere else? Now, maybe the answer is no. We'll sort out Minette Drive and everything else will remain fairly calm. I don't know, but I think we might look at that. Obviously, the issue that Mr. Guy raised in respect of speeding and stolen vehicles is not essentially a council issue. Stolen vehicles is clearly a police matter, and speeding is a police matter. The council has no jurisdiction in that. We can take steps, and sometimes humps or bumps have a beneficial effect. Councillor Curling, in his comments, hit the other things that I would have mentioned, namely, issues with the lights and the noise, and also, of course, emergency vehicles. So, I mean, he touched on all those things in his report, which is something I would have mentioned if not. I would certainly recommend to the local councillors that they contact and push the local police area, because I know up in the north of the borough where I represent, they do from time to time turn out on the streets with a speed gun, and that has quite a useful deterrent effect. And if and if residents or others are getting up to no good in some of the cars, as Councillor Gardner suggested, then that is also a job for the police. So I don't know, we have liaison with the police. I don't see any harm why we can't raise that, so we will raise that as an issue. But I would recommend the local councillors also raise it with their local beat officers to see if they can't get some action locally. I think the other obvious thing that I see no harm in is let's start where we always start with these things, is let's do a speed survey. Then we've got a chance of at least establishing the dimension of the problem. I see Councillor Santapuri is here, so perhaps you could come up when we finish speaking and look at the map and see where you think a good place to put these speed strips would be. And I think, Mr. Austin, I think your idea or the comment we collectively made is that perhaps we should look at a slightly wider area and see if there's something.
Councillor Santapuri wants to take this away and discuss it with his colleagues.
Yes, maybe that would be an answer. Yeah? Maybe that would be a better answer, actually. If you took this away and had a chat with Councillors Curling and Gardner and decided between you maybe which roads and where to put these crossings. I mean, I don't know how many might put in, 3 or 4, or I mean, half a dozen, or
Drive it probably could do with 1, 2, maybe 3, and there could be a couple in the other roads.
Yeah, so maybe there's 6 altogether, and then we'll undertake the speed survey, and then we'll be in a better position to see what options we've got after that. But I come back and reiterate that you need to rattle the cage of the police locally and get them down there to deal with the antisocial behaviour element and to deal with the speeding, because we can't. Well, we certainly can't in the short term. If they've got a speed gun, they can do it instantly. I have seen well, I'm sure we've all seen the deterrent effect of a few policemen out on occasion in their bright orange jackets, yellow jackets, holding the gun and stopping people. It doesn't last forever, but it has an effect certainly. So I think if that's where we are, I move. Well, I haven't met the petitioner, but I've heard from the petitioner. He's not here. I've listened to their request. Let's start with the speed survey. We're going to widen it from just Minette Drive, and we'll go forward from there. You happy with that?
Yep.
On that basis, I move. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.